What's up, y'all? Kyle Hamilton here. I want to give a quick shout out to Lucas, Connor, and Ryan in the Week 0 podcast.
Jackson rolling out, 3rd and 7 after the penalty, and it's a completion to Kuma. He's still running. Kuma breaks free against a tire defense as the Hokies deliver the dagger here in Tallahassee. Empty look for Richardson. Oh, that is danger! Oh my! Keidron Smith cuts inside, and he's gonna pick six it in the swamp. Cat scratch fever Smith.
DJ is picked off, intercepted again by Benjamin Morrison. Here goes Morrison down the sideline. Can he go? Yes, he can. Touchdown, pick six, Benjamin Morrison. Nix drops back underneath. Touchdown, Bucks. Wow. Chase Taylor.
The wow from Gus Johnson gets me every time. Hello and welcome to the Week 0 podcast. I'm your host this week because Connor doesn't love us. Lucas Bronny to the SCO. Gonna get LeBron James oldest. He's the oldest, right?
Yep.
I think he's the the oldest son to Oregon. Hopefully he will come there. To the side of me, we got Ryan Cheeseburger over 13 mil travel. The cheeseburger has to do with Michigan, I assume, or is that something?
Because the NCAA cares more about a kid getting a free McDonald's cheeseburger than a kid getting offered 13 mil.
Love that. And then below me, Josh, pay for play Bryant, which makes a lot of sense. Definitely with the Colorado situation that we got going on right now in college football. Not really sure how Dion can sit there and look people in the face and act like it's everybody else's problem and not his. We got probably a pretty quick show for everybody today. I think if Ryan wants to bring up the first banner, I think the first thing we're going to talk about is Jaden Rashada. The Jaden Rashada situation. Go ahead and give us your thoughts about it, Josh. I don't know if you know much about it, but Jaden Rashada, he wants out of the national letter of intent from Florida. He wants out of it because apparently a $13 million deal fell through. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so I actually had to look this up. And what happened was there is a group of, I guess you would call them boosters, right? Group of boosters for the University of Florida, and they got together. I'm not going to drop any names or anything, but they got together and they were talking to Jaden Rashada. They penned up a contract, which the reason why he might be leaving and getting out of that NLI is because originally the contract was for something around $5 million for him to go down and play. And we could talk about how awful that is, because that's not what NIL was meant for, right? NIL was not meant for like, oh, okay, well, we're going to pay a player for his name, image, and likeness rights up front so that they come to our university to play football. NIL was so that when these players go to these universities, they can actually make money off of their own name, image, and likeness. This contract was originally for about $5 million. It got talked up to $13 million before he signed, and a lot of those backers, financial backers for that Florida side of the contract, those boosters learned how much it was for, and this isn't substantiated, may have balked at that offer and said, no, we don't want to pay this kid that much. You know, that's too much for one kid. I mean, he's supposed to be a stud of a quarterback, but this is just an abuse of NIL, and I really think this is probably going to end up with NCAA investigations. And I think it's a real bad look for Florida.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas, I don't know how you feel about it because I know originally when this came out, Rashada kind of denied everything. Basically said it wasn't true. Even when a guy like Hayes Fawcett reports it's happening, and he basically calls him a liar and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, if it's not true, then you kind of want to believe the kid in that situation. But then when it all comes out, I almost can't believe that Florida is openly admitting that there was a $13 million deal on the table, because that is illegal, whether or not however it was paid. You cannot flat out guarantee a kid money to sign with your program, because my understanding was that once Rashada put his name on the dotted line, that money was supposed to be sent to him. When that money was not, that's why he decided not to report to camp or campus.
Well, I'm not 100% sure how that all works, and I don't think all the details are out, and they won't ever be because of the investigation. However, from how all of this stuff has gone on, I don't think the university itself has even spoke about
They
it.
have. The only thing they said was they told ESPN that they are not going to fight Rashada in terms of letting him out of the NLI, and that they are no longer. This is what they quoted ESPN, that they are no longer working with the Gator Collective, which is the people that came. Yes.
Well, see, so that's the thing, is that the money isn't from the university, and that's how these teams have been able to get around.
But they were working with them. They are working with the university.
How it doesn't matter. It's the same It's the same thing as getting a NIL deal from Nike. Nike works with hundreds of universities, so it doesn't really matter because it isn't from the university itself. It's how these teams are getting around this, and that's why the NCAA needs to step in on things that are like this that are happening. I find it curious to me, was this something that may have fallen through, or they decided not to give him the money after the Graham Mertz transfer?
Because no, it was just purely that it was basically just a fraud. The Gator Collective never had the means or the money to offer him. They basically just said, hey, if you commit to Florida, we'll give you $13 million. He was assuming that he was going to just get $13 million once he signed. And the people that the university was working with, who were so-called the Gator Collective, never had the means or the intention of paying him that money.
I would like to see that. I've yet to see any of that.
It's all in like an ESPN report.
I would have to look at that. To me, it sounds a lot like. To me, it sounds a lot like they wanted to pay this kid to come there because they were going to pay him more than what any boosters from the University of Miami were going to pay him, and that's why he flipped in the first place from Miami to Florida.
Yeah, back in November.
I think that's a big reason why he did it. And then everything obviously fell through. Now there's going to be a big issue with this kid. He's going to be kind of blacklisted, unfortunately, from here on out. I think he's super talented. A kid that Oregon wanted really, really bad until he, obviously ultimately decided not to choose Oregon. But I think it's going to hurt him really, really bad. And he's, it's one of those things where $13 million is a lot of money. And when you hear it as an 18, 17-year-old, you're like, oh my goodness, that is a crazy amount of money. I don't even got to play a down of football and I get this $13 million. Like, are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to take that. But now, instead of writing out his college career at, say, Florida, or taking a minimum NIL deal, because you can still, even if this thing fell through, he could have still easily got NIL deals from other places for, even $1 million, 500,000
Well,
here and there. Like, he could have easily gone and done that from other places, but it's 17, 18-year-old kids, man, and they're making their own decisions, and they're getting thrown a large number in front of their faces, and they just don't know how to act.
Well, and that's part of it, and well, like Ryan was saying, the other part of it, you've got the Gator Collective that went to this 18-year-old kid and flashed a bunch of cash and said, "You come to Florida, this is yours. You commit to Florida, this is yours." And I mean, whether it was lying, whether it was somebody wasn't in the loop on the actual amount that was finalized in whatever agreement they had. Like, I mean, we don't know all this stuff, right? We don't know. We know who runs the Gator Collective, but we don't know who they're talking to. We don't know if they're directly involved with the University of Florida, besides just obviously paying players to commit to Florida.
Brothers. It's the Pouncey brothers, man. They're running schemes out there now.
It's kind of like we have no idea.
It's kind of like what Notre Dame Prime even just said. It's like Ryan Day said it, I believe, last year, that it would cost Ohio State roughly $13 million just to keep the kids that are on their current roster to stay. So $13 million for an unproven high school recruit, like he said, is insane. And to me, I don't know. I wouldn't give a kid $13 million to come be my quarterback. Unless you're freaking Trevor Lawrence or you're Tim Tebow.
Even those people, like it coming out of high school, nobody was like, this guy, right? Nobody's like, this is the guy who's going to go win back-to-back national championships, or this is the guy who's going to go take this team to the champion. Nobody is seriously taking a high school student who's never played a down of college ball, who's never even practiced with other college athletes.
Who's to say Jaden Rashada? Who's to say that Jaden Rashada is going to be a good quarterback? We see five-star quarterbacks fail all the time.
Also, you got something else here. If this was on paper, Jaden Rashada might have something to sue for.
Yep.
And Notre Dame Prime actually said that. Yeah.
100%. He will have something to sue for. Unfortunately, he's going to probably win that lawsuit. I still think he's going to get blacklisted from college football. So he's going to have to. He's going to have to go.
That's why he would win.
He's going to have to go play it like Mississippi.
Well, he can play. I believe he can play in the USFL, Lucas. I believe. I think those kids can come out of high school.
I don't think so.
I would know. He'd probably go play college.
There's nobody in the USFL out of high school. They're all like
to start. But I'm saying I believe they were going to try to make that or the XFL a way for kids to either go to college or go straight to the XFL.
I doubt the XFL because that's going to actually be a decently sized professional organization. But I think he's going to end up having to go to one of these these bounce back schools. He's probably going to have to go to a bounce back school, and he's probably going to have to prove himself. But here's something to put this into perspective, right? This kid was going to get $13 million straight out of the gate to play 4 years, 3 to 4 years. He might not even play a full 4 years at the University of Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a quarterback right now in the National Football League that is playing in the divisional round Sunday. His name is Brock Purdy, and he is making an annual salary of $934,000 on a 4-year contract. You're muted.
Jaden Rashada was going to make more money than a quarterback that has led his team to the playoffs.
In 1 year.
Not
only that,
but
the divisional round. He already won.
Exactly.
He He already won a playoff game, and he may very well win the Super Bowl, which is so that's like something to put into perspective.
Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant, right?
Yep,
he was,
and he was also a 3-star recruit. I mean, it's. And this whole thing is like, I know people will, like Lucas is almost. I'm not. Tell me if I'm reading what you're saying right. You kind of feel bad for Rashada in the sense that he's going to be blacklisted.
100%.
But in my opinion, we've seen this with the Peyton Bowen situation, where the kid gets offered $2 million. Whether or not that happened, multiple people that are credible reported that it happened. But $13 million, $2 million is a big difference, and I think that this case, along with what happened at A&M this past season, should maybe show these kids that, hey, maybe I shouldn't commit to a school that offers me the most money, because guess what? They may promise me all this stuff, but guess what? Who's to say once I sign that letter that they're going to give me anything that they said? We've seen it with Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison was promised all this stuff to go to USC. Never got a dime of it.
Well, he did, but not as much as he wanted.
But I'm saying, just these kids are going to start. I feel like these kids need to start learning that just because they offer me $13 million doesn't mean they're giving me $13 million. That's just that they're going to say, it's kind of like a politician. They will tell you anything they can to get elected. Just like these coaches will say anything they can to get you to sign with their school. Once you sign that paper, they don't owe you anything. It's just like these kids when they do the verbal commitments. They don't owe these coaches anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there could be a contract connected to that $13 million, and that's why he may have a lawsuit there. The big thing about it, though, is that I'm telling you right now, all three of us, go back to when you were 17, 18 years old.
Oh, if you said $13 million,
you offer me $13 million and you put a contract in front of my face for me to sign for $13 million, I'm putting 4 signatures on that.
Okay, but Lucas, let me tell you this
for sure that I'm taking
because you played football in high school and college.
Right.
You're an Oregon fan, right? Let's say you had been committed to Oregon and you had a relationship with Dan Lanning for over a year. You've been committed to them and you have all these relationships with these kids and everything. And all of a sudden, let's just say Washington comes and knocks at your door and says, "Hey, Lucas, I know you're an Oregon guy. Your family loves Oregon.
Love you.
You've been committed for a year. But if you flip right now and you sign a commitment to come to us, we will give you $13 million. Back when you were 17 or 18, would you have done that? Even though you would have.
To me, it all depends on the situation, though, because say I'm playing a quarterback, right? You're Jaden Rashada. It's the same thing. Say he grew up a Florida fan, whatever the hell it may be, and then Miami comes into the mix, and both Florida schools, whatever it is, they both have vacancies at the quarterback position. They're not bringing in another guy in the transfer portal or in their recruiting class. They're not bringing in another guy. It's just you. You're going to the place that offers you more money. That's just what it is. That's just facts. I mean, it's the same thing as the NFL. You're not going to be one of the best, say the best wide receivers in the National Football League, and then one team is like, well, we can offer you whatever $10 million for 4 years, and then another team is like, we'll give you $21 million for 4 years, and say a crappy team or something like that, we'll give you $21 million for 4 years. You're going to go to that crappy team. I mean, you're going to go there. You're going to shine. You're going to play well, even if your team sucks, and you're going to get your money. That's just the way I see it. That's how it's going to happen. That's how it has always happened. That's just it. I mean, you look at, Ryan obviously being a Lakers fan, LeBron fan. He went to a crappy team that paid him a lot of money, and then he won a title. he wasn't going to stay with a team that wasn't going to pay him the way that he thought he deserved. And that's just, you're muted again.
Oh God, Ryan.
Good Lord.
He didn't leave Cleveland because of the money. He left Cleveland because they weren't giving him any help to win a championship. That's why he left.
Yeah, but you don't think LA paid him more? I can guarantee you.
Oh no, I'm talking about. Are you talking about the second time? I was talking about the first time. The first time wasn't because of money, because Cleveland.
Yeah, but I'm sure Miami paid him. I'm sure Miami paid him more than what his.
He actually, believe it or not, he took a pay cut to go to Miami because they already were getting D Wade and Chris Bosh, so he had to take a pay cut. That was the only time in his career he took a pay cut. But, nevertheless, like Notre Dame Prime even said, and this is kind of, I didn't even know this, but Rashada evidently is visiting Colorado today, and I guess he's expecting Dion to get him. And Lucas, you're more involved in the Oregon recruiting stuff than I am, but with how Novosad looked in the All-American game, would you be mad if Oregon made a pitch at him?
I can guarantee you they don't, and that's because Mario Cristobal's coaching staff was the staff that made the offer for Rashada. Yeah, Rashada's a stud, and I would like to have him at Oregon, but this is a completely different coaching staff. They don't know Rashada. They didn't recruit him. Mario Cristobal did, and that's why he committed to Miami before Oregon in the first place. I think Novosad's going to be good. I think a lot of it was his offensive line in that game. It was terrible. It was just so bad. He was running for his life every single play, and so was the backup quarterback for him on that same team. Like, they were running for their lives. I think Novosad's going to be good. At the same time, I'm sorry, but recruit everywhere else. I don't care about quarterback recruiting. I don't care about it at all anymore because we can easily go. We're a big enough brand. We can go to the portal and we can get the biggest guys. I mean, we don't have to recruit quarterbacks anymore, and that's just how it is for most, college football programs. You don't got to recruit for quarterbacks. There's no point because we can just get a guy that's already played 3 years.
How much you love Bo Nix, Lucas? Would you rather have Bo Nix or Caleb Williams?
I mean, I would probably rather have the Heisman Trophy winner, but I'm just being honest. I love Bo, and I think he could make a run for the Heisman this year. But last year, Caleb Williams won the Heisman. But you look at it like Oregon's had success in the transfer portal before with Vernon Adams.
Thanks, man.
All right.
I just think, all three of us now have a guy at our quarterback position on our favorite teams that played I think at least 3 years at a previous program. I just don't see, unless it's just a crazy Trevor Lawrence or, I don't know, Jamarcus Russell type talent that you see in high school ranks, I just don't see any point in recruiting these super top tier guys and expecting them to be, crazy good players in the future. And kind of sucks for these kids, but
I'm paying $13 million for
exactly.
down at college ball.
But
how much do you think about this? How much do you think Caleb Williams is making? Not $13 million. I can tell you that right now.
Nope.
I don't know, man.
I think Bryce Young only made like $2 million last year. He was a Heisman winner.
How much do you think Sam Hartman's making? He was the most sought after quarterback in the portal once he entered. And
not shit because he's going to Notre Dame, but
hey, they said no. Listen, the only tampering, quote, we tampered. Evidently, the only reason he didn't declare for the draft and went to Notre Dame was because he figured that he could make more money NIL-wise at Notre Dame being the quarterback there than he would being a 6th or 7th round draft pick.
Yeah, Lucas. Don't you know the N in Notre Dame stands for NIL?
Yeah, evidently.
Come on.
for sure. He could probably, I don't doubt it because he wasn't going to be drafted.
Oh, he was. He was. A lot of NFL scouts said 6th or 7th round grade.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would have been drafted. I think the only reason why like a guy like Brock Purdy, going back to him, the only reason why he was drafted was because the 49ers
They had nobody else to pick.
The 49ers were desperate, and he was the last quarterback that was even close to being available. So
Skylar Thompson was there.
Well, he was drafted before him.
Oh, he was? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was drafted by Miami before Purdy was. So,
yeah.
Wait, what about Carson? Wasn't Carson Strong? Did he go undrafted?
He went undrafted, and he sucked anyways.
But all right, well, we'll go ahead and move on because we've talked about that for a lot. I thought this would be a fun one because evidently, according to Hayes Fawcett, Colorado getting Cormani McLean, as Josh's name alluded to, the pay for play that's going on in Colorado right now. Basically, Hayes said that that's the best cornerback duo in college football. So I wanted to get you guys think if you disagree or agree with that.
Completely disagree because here's why. And here's why. I saw this tweet earlier today, and I wish I could show it on the thing, but I don't have that kind of access right now. But I saw this tweet. It says, I have it up right now. It says, Shedeur Sanders showing off his deep ball once again. And obviously, we're talking about corners, but I'm talking about Colorado here. Showing off his deep ball on NFL Rookie Watch, the Twitter.
Yeah.
Just tossing a deep ball, whatever. Shedeur Sanders doing his thing with that, in shorts. A Husky fan said this doesn't prove anything. Free clout for a player that hasn't earned it at the highest level. Somebody responded with, "He is a top 3 quarterback in the Pac-12."
Wait.
These kids coming in. I'm not going to say that HBCUs is bad football because I think that there are a lot of really, really, really talented kids in the HBCU. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders probably should have been a D1 guy to begin with, and so
wasn't he a 4-star quarterback?
He was a 4-star, yes. And obviously Travis Hunter. And then you look at a guy like Kevin Coleman, who's going to Louisville, who was a 4-star wide receiver coming out of high school. These guys are really, really good, but they got to play some good comp. Like they got to play some good defenses. They got to play other 4 and 5 stars lining up on the other side of the field.
They don't get to play Southern. They don't get to play Southern 4 straight games.
Southern, these other teams, and you get Shedeur Sanders lined up against a team like, say Oregon, obviously I'm not even going to put USC in there because their defense is trash.
I mean, Northwestern sucks and they could beat Southern, maybe.
They're going to have a rainstorm. But
yeah.
But they're lined up against a team like a defense like Oregon has with 4 stars everywhere. You got a defense like Washington has with 4 stars everywhere. I need to see these kids play some real football before I say anything. If Travis Hunter comes – they play TCU week 1. Travis Hunter comes out there and balls against TCU and Shedeur Sanders balls against TCU and they even make that game close, I'll change my opinion.
Has TCU even got a quarterback yet?
I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. They're still going to have a good team, though. I mean, Dykes isn't going to. Last year wasn't just an anomaly. I think they're going to.
Is Brennan Armstrong still in the portal, or did he commit?
Yes, he is still in the portal. Okay. You know what's hilarious? Never mind. I was going to talk about Spencer Sanders, but we're still on Colorado.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
It's hilarious that they have 3 former
quarterbacks.
They have 3 transfer quarterbacks. I don't get it. But I need to see Colorado do something before we even say a word or a thing about what's going on. I know that there's a lot of freshman players in college football nowadays. It's the same thing as you got like in the league with a lot of rookie players that are just dominating the league right now. You get these young guys that are playing really well, but can we at least see it first before we say all this crazy stuff? I mean, like,
Absolutely not.
best
absolutely
corner,
not.
best cornerback
Colorado's
duo
going
in the
15
country.
and 0.
Let me
15 and 0.
I had
15
it
and
pulled
0.
up.
Winning that natty.
I do think it's funny that collectively, for the past, like, ever since the Washington game, I have been going to blows, and I love it. I think it's fun. Going to blows with Washington fans and, obviously Oregon State fans on Twitter. Oregon State fans don't talk quite as much, but Washington fans talk a lot, and I like to talk back. Collectively, we have all one thing in common, and that's that we hate Deion Sanders and that we want Colorado to fail so bad, and we just don't understand any of this stuff that is happening in college football right now with Colorado.
Wait, Lucas, I thought you were all aboard the primetime train.
I was about to say, what's wrong with primetime?
See, I don't mind him. I didn't mind him before he came to Colorado, and the reason being
because he isn't in the D1.
So now he's competition. That's why.
No, that has nothing to do with it. What has everything to do with it is he thinks that his shit doesn't stink, and obviously everybody knows that he thinks that. He has thought that forever. I mean, since his playing days. But like when he makes comments like on the Monday Night Football game with the Bucs Cowboys game, he was on the Manning cast, and he started making comments about like how all these kids are getting paid and all this stuff, and that's just how college football is nowadays, and like kind of like in a condescending way. And it's like, dude, do you not think that we know what you're doing right now? You're trying to make it seem like you're not doing this tampering shit and you're not paying these players all this money and all these things and doing
Once
all
he
this
got
stuff.
the job.
And then this guy is the biggest tool bag because he wears nothing but Colorado stuff. Like, dude, put on a different fucking outfit. I'm sorry, but it drives me crazy because he thinks that there's this big brand and he wants to make
Oh no.
Colorado.
The head coach of Colorado is wearing Colorado gear.
No, but you got to see him. You got to see him like you look at any other coach, they're wearing like
when Marcus Freeman got the job. When Marcus Freeman got the job at Notre Dame, he wasn't wearing Notre Dame shit at all. He was wearing a suit and a tie.
You wear a suit and tie. You wear maybe a T-shirt. You wear a hoodie every once in a while, whatever it is. But this dude is always wearing a Colorado
hoodie
and a Colorado
hoodie, Colorado polo, Colorado hat.
Lucas, let me say this.
I guarantee he's walking around in Colorado sweatpants.
If he wants to sit here and act like he doesn't
underwear.
If he wants to sit here and act like he doesn't pay for players, who was the first recruit to flip to Deion when he got the job? Speaking of 2 days after he got the Colorado job, Dylan Edwards, a Notre Dame commit that had been committed to Notre Dame since last spring, and he literally admitted that he got more money at Colorado. That's why he decided to go to Colorado instead of Notre Dame.
He just wanted to play for prime time. That's it.
My thing about Colorado too is that it's a really, it's a great place to be. I've
beautiful.
I've never been.
Oh God, it's gorgeous out there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out there. But it's Colorado, man.
Hey, man, it'd
Colorado was good in the early 2000s. It was good in the early 2000s. This is not
90s.
the 2000s anymore.
Hey, they were the number one team in the
question.
Lucas. They were the number one team in the country in the 90s.
They were the number 1 team in the country in 2000, and then they lost a game, and then Oregon beat them by 50 in the Fiesta Bowl. So, Colorado. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I have their record at 6-6, which is a lot better than it was last year, where they only won 1 game.
But Lucas, they're going to win a Natty next year.
I actually, in my opinion, I actually have a hot take, and I actually think they do beat TCU week 1.
Whoa! Let's not go.
Whoa! We can't start that fire that quick, buddy.
Hold your buffaloes. Right there.
We can't be doing that.
My thing is I just think that as I'm wearing like a buffalo colored hat, a Colorado colored hat.
Lucas has been infected by primetime.
It's on his mind. His wardrobe will slowly change. He'll start dressing like prime time.
Start dressing like prime time. I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm definitely 1,000,000% going to the Oregon Colorado game, which is week 4 in Austin.
You guys better blow them out.
Well, we're going to blow them out, but I just can't wait to be there to just to see Dion.
You better take videos of. You better zoom in on Primetime's face on the sideline if he's not wearing his sunglasses.
He's going to be wearing sunglasses.
I just like how unique this is, right? I like how unique this situation is. So you've got
you guys
Deion Sanders going to Colorado, which won
could you imagine
last year.
Could you imagine if The Rock would have if he ever became the head coach at Miami? Like
Well, no.
Has Deion Sanders ever been this far west?
No.
You gave me an idea there, Ryan. You gave me an idea. So, what if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson became the head coach at Hawaii? What if he started, recruiting
I don't
players?
think people would play for him.
Hawaii's a beautiful place.
Kids,
I don't think people would play for him. See, here's my thing, and this is where Peyton Manning screwed up, and I think he could have.
You think Peyton Manning should have become a coach?
I think he would have already had maybe even 2 national titles at Tennessee.
I wish he would have coached the Broncos, man.
You want to know why would he coach the Broncos?
Because he goes to all the fucking games.
He spent 3 years there, dude.
But he lives there. He lives there.
Because it's a nice place. We just talked about that.
But no, he was involved in the ownership search. He put a bid in to own the Broncos.
Yeah,
because it's a nice place.
Because he has a lot of money. Because he has a nice place. And my thing is, I think he should have, and he could have never known that it would have been like this. And I think he could still probably make the move because I've heard some rufflings and some rumors that he wants to get into coaching and that he could get into NFL coaching, not so much college. But, dude, who wouldn't play for Peyton Manning at Tennessee? I mean, who wouldn't?
Or Eli Manning at Ole Miss. Yeah. See,
I think Eli's funny, and he's a funny dude, and he's a good dude. But
he's not Peyton.
He doesn't have what Peyton has as a quarterback.
What?
You don't. Okay.
He's got more Super Bowls.
Before we go down this rabbit hole,
they have the same amount for one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. 2 each, right?
And for two, Peyton was only carried by his defense once. Eli was carried by his defense twice.
There's a big difference. Eli wasn't carried by his defense, Lucas. He was carried by his defense and some of the luckiest shit I've ever seen in Super Bowls before.
He was
carried. They both won their Super Bowls the same way. They did just enough not to lose the game.
No. I mean,
they didn't come out and throw for 400 yards. They did just enough to not lose.
Peyton's first one, he kind of beat the crap out of the Bears, but
that's the Bears.
It is the Bears. But
Rex Grossman was their quarterback, so I mean,
I
don't know. I just think Peyton Manning missed an opportunity there. He could still do it, but you're seeing this more and more, and I think it's something that these quarterbacks and these former quarterbacks or these former players could really, really.
Hey, we're seeing it now with what Bethune-Cookman. They're at FCS school. They just hired Ed Reed to be their head coach. You're going to start seeing kids
go to that video.
Reed, boy.
Yes.
Did you watch the video?
Yes.
Recently that he posted? Mm-hmm. He's pissed, dude. He is pissed off at that school, the whole school.
For what?
Because they don't take care of their campus. He posted a video. He was on live and he posted this video where he was like, I don't need to be here. He's like, I could be anywhere else, literally anywhere else. But I'm here, and now I got to come out here with my team and pick up the campus, and it's some bullshit because this is not my job. I'm here to coach football, not to clean up this fucking school. And he just went, he went crazy. He went off on the whole school.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure his job title says head coach, not custodian.
Yeah, exactly. And
I get it. Like, and I'll say this:
But I mean, do you guys see kids going to Bethune-Cookman to go play for Ed Reed?
No,
like legit 5 and 4 stars.
The best job in football right now is a fired head football coach of any Power 5 conference team. That's the best job in the world. They're paying you millions of dollars, and all you have to do is not work.
Pretty much.
I would say the best job in football.
You show up, you get hired. If you do well, they're going to pay you more money. If you don't do well, they're going to buy you out and pay you more money. I just don't see why anyone wouldn't do it.
There's no better job in college, or there's no better job in football, like all of football, NFL, college together, than the practice squad wide receiver. I'm sorry. That is the easiest job. It is the best job in all of college football.
You get pounded in the dirt by the first team, but
is the best job, absolute best job. I think you still make like $500K a year.
Yeah, but you get paid to basically take a beating every day.
Not as the receiver.
Not the receiver. No, God, no.
Like you run routes and catch footballs. I mean, that's like
that's like being the backup kicker.
Unless you're like a practice squad receiver and you got to go up against like I don't know who's the hardest hitting safety in the NFL right now. Probably Jamal Adams, like
Derwin James because
Derwin James
nearly killed the guy.
Yeah, do that. You're a practice squad receiver getting paid $400K, and you're lined up against Derwin James.
They don't hit people like that in practice.
No, they don't hit people like that anymore.
But no, I was gonna ask because Eddie George is the new head coach at Tennessee State, which the only reason I know that is because Notre Dame plays them next year. Right. My question is what was different with Deion taking over at Jackson State, we're talking about bottom of the barrel FCS HBCU team, makes them get all these recruits, but now we see all these other schools like Bethune-Cookman and Tennessee State trying the same formula, but they're not getting these 4 and 5 star recruits.
I can tell you right now, right? You're ready for this?
Yep.
Eddie George and Ed Reed didn't do one thing that Deion did, and that was breed a 4-star quarterback. There you go. There you go. When Shedeur Sanders committed to Jackson State, everybody wanted to go to Jackson State.
When Shedeur Sanders left Jackson State, everybody
left Jackson State. Lucas might be onto something here.
So it's like, I mean, it sucks because
I could just see that in the interview. Okay, what kind of offense do you look to run here? What kind of program are you looking to build here? You're looking for longevity. What's your sperm count? You got
sperm count.
Got any players in the portal right now that you're thinking of? How good is your firstborn son's arm?
Oh man.
I would play for Eddie George, obviously very biased because I am a Titans fan. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, if you look at them all together, obviously Deion Sanders, super captivating. But Ed Reed and Eddie George are also Hall of Famers. All 3 of them are Hall of Famers. They're in the Hall. They got the bust. They got all the stuff in the Hall of Fame. But one of them has a gifted son that was dominating high school football. The other two don't. And that's just, I mean, that was the selling point, I think. Also, Dion is really good at talking. I think Eddie George.
I think that was more of it.
Yes, 100% sure. He is great at talking.
No, wait. Could you imagine? Think about this.
I think they asked him how many how many toes he had. I think that was something.
Lucas, could you imagine Marshawn Lynch as the head coach at Cal?
I would play for him. I'd play for Marshawn. That'd be sick.
They'd have to put like a sensor on the ESPN microphones every game because he would.
What did he say? What did he say in that interview?
He said, when I was here, this team didn't fucking suck.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean."
I didn't mean to say that.
Because I asked him about what the difference between when he was at Cal and now, and he said, "When I was there, the team didn't fucking suck."
And then he said, and then he cussed again right after that, where he's like,
he did
something like, "Yeah, I don't know." It was pretty funny though.
At least he would be a coach that you'd get. He would be like Mike Leach. You get so many funny moments from his interviews.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be. They wouldn't be like Mike.
They wouldn't be Mike
Leach
Leach worthy, but they would be like. Oh.
I still think the interview he gave about marriage advice, like what to do for your wedding, fantastic.
I thought the one
he was
about
like, don't worry about having a big wedding. Don't worry about
the one with the,
you go somewhere. You elope. That's what you do.
I thought it was hilarious the one he did with the mascots where he basically said, "Well, if you got a duck, I mean, a duck's not too harmful. They'll just paddle around."
And he was like, "I don't know." He's like, "I don't know what a sun devil would do." He's like, "Nobody knows what kind of powers a sun devil has, so I guess we'll."
And then he said, "A Trojan. It depends what Trojan you get. Do you get a man with a sword or a man on a sword with a horse?" Like,
yeah, he's
God, one of the best, man. One of the best.
What a great dude.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the actual topic, corners wise, I mean, I'm sure there's some. We gotta watch. We gotta watch McLean. We gotta watch.
Hold on. We literally have not named any corners better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, one, there's a lot of college
football. The Alabama corners, I think, are better. McKinstry and who I can't remember the other kid's name that's on the other side of him. That's a pair right there.
The kid that was on the other side of him plays at Oregon now.
So. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, you could be biased, and I could go Triquez Bridges and then the Tyrese Jackson or whatever his name is, the kid from Bama.
I mean, I commented on Hayes' tweet and said Benjamin Morrison and Cam Hart for Notre Dame because, I mean, you're going to tell me Cormani McLean's better than Benjamin Morrison when Morrison was a freshman? I mean,
maybe he is. That's the thing. It sucks. Well, that's the thing, though, is that maybe he is. Maybe he is better. Or maybe he's just an average college corner and we'll never know how good he really is, or maybe is the next Sauce Gardner. We have no idea.
You know what? I'm going to say it right now because Josh is kind of being quiet. The corner who got the pick six on Florida, he's better than Cormani McLean or Travis Hunter.
And it also depends on what scheme you're playing in, right? So if you're playing in like a fucking cover 3 kind of defense, just a 3-4-3 kind of defense. I mean, it really depends. Like,
my thing about Travis Hunter, though,
is he going to play offense or defense? Because a lot of people were joking and saying he's going to play both.
They're going to play him both. 100%. They're going to.
He's going to get killed.
Because he played both at Jackson State, so I don't know why they would change that.
But how would you that's doing that at that level and then being an Ironman athlete at FBS level is way different.
He didn't play a lot of
It's just different though.
But he didn't play a lot of offense. He played rarely, and then when they needed him, he played offense. Like he played mostly defense.
So kind of like the guy who played for Michigan.
He was like
Jabril
Charles
Peppers.
Woodson.
Okay.
He was like Charles Woodson. He was a Charles Woodson type. Yeah, Jabril Peppers too. These guys. He was like a Dory Jackson too. He did a lot of both sides at USC. They did that kind of stuff. My thing about Travis Hunter, though, he didn't put on any weight at Jackson State. He
Not
didn't
eating
put on
good,
any
man.
weight.
Not eating good.
Dude is skinny as hell. Like, he needs to do something or else he's going to get killed. Because you see a lot of these skinny guys, they get into a Division I program, Oregon, USC, Miami, Florida, these like really good strength and conditioning programs, and they put on a lot of weight. And you can see a visible difference from year 1 to year 2. Most guys, you can see a visible difference. There's no difference on Travis Hunter. He is still skinny. If you look at him now and you look at him when he got to Jackson State, he was still a skinny dude. Yeah, he's fast as hell. I get that. But he's also a short dude. He's skinny. He goes against some guy like the dude from Florida State. Oh, shit, what's his name?
No, Lucas, if he goes up against some guy from Utah, he's going to get murdered. We see what they did to Caleb Williams.
Tall receivers. I'm trying to make an example of a tall receiver where, God, what is that guy's name from Florida State? It's going to drive me crazy.
Which one are you thinking of? An older one or one now?
No, one now. He's their best receiver right now.
Oh, he's looking it up.
But anyways, you go against a guy that's big, strong, DK Metcalf type guy, like you're gonna get bodied, and you're not gonna get a lot of that stuff in the.
How tall is Travis Hunter? Because he doesn't even really look all that tall to me.
I think he's probably like 5'10".
Oh yeah, he's gonna get mossed.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are like, 5'10".
I don't know. I always prefer like corners. I always prefer the 6 foot guys.
Johnny Wilson. He had nearly 900 yards last year and 5 touchdowns. Kid stands at 6'7", 235 pounds.
I was about to say Travis Hunter isn't 5'10". He's 6'1". So he's like 6 foot tall.
He's probably like 5'11", 6 foot.
He stood on his.
Well, I
tippy
mean,
toes.
you know how you do your stats and stuff. It's how tall are you in cleats.
Oh, I always go 2 inches taller.
Yeah.
I always went 2 inches taller. That was always my thing. I was like, I would usually say in high school, I would usually say 5'11". I'm pretty sure I'm 5'10" now, but that's just what the doctor tells me. I don't know if he just doesn't want to tell me I'm 5'9" and wants to make me feel bad, but
jeez.
I'm pretty sure I'm 5'10".
Hey, I just found out the other day I'm 200 pounds. So hey.
Well, how tall are you, Ryan?
I'm 5'11".
5'11", skinny as hell.
Jesus.
5'11", 200 pounds isn't bad.
I don't know where I got the 200 pounds.
When
I was in high school, I was 160.
He got that settlement, and now he's like
he put on that wealth weight.
Yeah, I don't even have a gut. It's just weird. They're like, you weigh 203. You gained like 50 pounds in the last couple months.
I wish I weighed 203.
If I weighed 203 right now, I'd be fucking jacked.
Dude, when I got down to a really good like body type, muscle mass, all that stuff, I stopped at 215. Like I could not get any lower. I'm 6 foot tall, but I'm wide as shit. So like
I'm wide.
But
as shit.
while we're on this, I wanted to really quickly because we didn't get to talk about it. The whole Cormani McClain situation in general. What do you guys think about it?
Dude, my thing about all this stuff is like, I get that you can't blame a guy for wanting to play for Deion Sanders.
No, it's not that. I don't like the whole
and you might call
trolling
it
the
you
fan
might call it
base.
tampering, you might call it trolling the fan base, whatever it is, but when you're like recruited by a team for so long, as he was for Miami, obviously, they completely I'm sure I can almost guarantee you he was recruited before Mario Cristobal got there. But then Mario was like, obviously they want to keep up with this kid because he's one of the best corners in high school football. So all that stuff happens, and then you got a guy like Deion Sanders, one of the best corners in football history, not college football, not NFL, football history. One of the best corners to ever play the game that you play. It gets a head coaching job somewhere, and he offers you. I mean,
but my thing is because he was obviously committed to Miami. And this is the thing I don't like about these kids. And anytime we have a situation like this, it's always some roundabout bullshit that these kids do. We've seen it with Bowen, where he decommitted and recommitted to 3 different schools in the matter of less than 24 hours. We've seen it with Rashada now.
You're putting too much weight on word.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, why do these kids feel the need to lie? That's what I'm saying. And especially with Cormani, he was going to sign on National Signing Day. He told the entire Miami coaches, "I'm going to be signing on signing day. Like we're good."
Yeah.
Signing day comes, doesn't sign. They ask him, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just not signing on early signing day. I'm going to push it back because I want to whatever reason." And then the All-American game happens, and they asked him, "So are you guys? What are you doing?" He's like, "All I know is I'm committed to Miami." They're like, "Well, are there any other schools contacting you?" "Nah, I'm committed to Miami. That's all I know right now." And they're like, "Okay, so when are you going to give an official date when you sign your thing?" "Oh, I'm going to sign my papers to Miami, blah, 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 whenever." And then it comes out that people seen him in Colorado on a visit, and pictures were taken. The kid goes on Instagram during his visit and tags Tampa, Florida as his location, basically saying, "Y'all, like you guys," and he put in the thing, "Y'all are tripping." He wasn't just doing that.
Here's my thing, Ryan. And this is growing up, and this is me, and I know that Josh is on the same boat with all this like media stuff and how media works. They make everything so much bigger and so much bigger of a deal than what it really is. And they're getting into these people's lives when they don't need to be in these people's lives. Like, let this kid do what he wants to do.
But why can't he just announce on Twitter, "Hey,
because
I'm reopening
he's like
my thing"?
18 years old, dude.
Ryan,
when you were 18, when you were 18 and somebody like tried to press you on something that you knew you did, but you didn't want to admit it.
He didn't want to admit it because he knew, but he didn't want to admit it because he knew he would get backlash for it. That's why.
Yeah, because no 18-year-old needs that backlash.
Yeah, and something else, Ryan. He's probably got 5, 6, 7 different people telling him what to say, and it's all different things to say.
I just don't understand. Like, we've seen recruits in his same situation that come out and just flat out say, "Hey, I'm decommitting. Like, I'm not sold on where I was going to originally commit. I'm going to flip." We see that all the time. But 100%. Then you see the unique cases like Cormani McClain and Rashada, where it's like they make it more miserable for themselves than they need to.
It's not unique. It's not unique. Because I can tell you here right now why it's not unique and why you just don't understand that it is.
I mean, Lucas, even the Bowen situation pissed you off.
Yes, it did. But I'm 24 years old. You're 22 years old now. And Josh has been, Josh is like, what, 47?
Jesus Christ. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
But we're just now, all of us are just now really, really paying attention to the recruiting because we have this podcast and we have this thing that we have, so we have to pay attention to this stuff. this stuff has been happening for long before we have even been paying attention to it. It's just that the media wasn't as big as it is in 2023. So we didn't hear it as much.
Yeah, and then something else about it. There's way more media attention going to these kids than there used to be. I mean, you go back 3-4 years ago.
The picture of
the only thing you heard. The only thing you heard about somebody is, oh, I thought he was committed. Yeah, well, he went to this other school instead. Like,
well, I understand that, but I don't think we should give these kids a pass for making mistakes. Like,
yes, but I don't think we should press the kids as hard.
No. Listen, like I'm just saying, as a because I was 18 at one point, and I didn't handle situations the best when because like a lot of these kids, I'm sure they feel like they have to lie, they have to make up stuff so that they don't get media backlash because, well, I think it's wrong. A lot of these fan bases are fully invested in college football, and if you screw a fan base over, especially a fan base like Miami or Florida, and then expect people not to be upset with you, I don't agree with the whole attacking this kid publicly on Twitter, but I also can understand why, because I've had it happen to me with Bowen. That situation pissed me off, and you know what? His own parents told him he made a stupid decision, and that he embarrassed 3 universities on a public format, and 2 of them pulled their offers from him because of it.
Oh, over a girlfriend.
Yeah, because he didn't like.
But see, this is my problem.
Dumb kids are going to do dumb shit.
This is the issue that I always had with this, and I've never been in this situation. Neither of you have been in this situation either.
No.
But you're putting a kid, and I think about this from my standpoint and like how it would have felt for me to be in this situation. You're putting a kid on national television, sitting there with 3 hats in front of him, 2 hats, maybe 3 hats, maybe even 4, whatever it is. And you're expecting him to make a decision right there. If he doesn't have that decision fully made, because he didn't, clearly Peyton Bowen did not have that decision made, and they gave him a date because for sure he didn't make that date.
From my understanding, his parents came up with the decision for him to 100%. Go to Notre Dame.
But they gave him that date. Somebody gave him that date, said, hey, you're going to commit on this day. Make sure you have your decision. He was probably like, oh, okay, I'm committed to Notre Dame. His girlfriend was probably like, oh, Notre Dame is so far away from Oklahoma. That really sucks. I really wish I could see you more. And then he was like, shit. Marcus Freeman's a really cool dude. He's a defensive-minded guy.
He has ties with Kyle Hamilton.
Dan Lanning is a defensive-minded guy, too. He won a national championship at Georgia. He's had great players. These 2 teams are really, really good. Oh, Brent Venables. He has a national championship, too. He's a defensive-minded guy as well. I'm thinking about all these 3 different teams, and everything is going through my mind. Meanwhile, my parents are over here saying, hey, I need to go to Notre Dame because they have the best academics. They have all this kind of shit. They're, whatever Catholic school. They're going to have good morals, all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I got my girlfriend on my other shoulder saying, hey, we need to be together, and we love each other for all this stuff. And then I got Dan Lanning over here that's like, hey, bro, we got $2 million waiting for you. You want it? And so, and now he's sitting here at this table. He's got all those 3 things going through his mind. And then all of a sudden it's like 3, 2, 1. Fuck. Okay, grab an Oregon hat, put it on, I'm going to Oregon. Or I grab a Notre Dame hat. Oh, just kidding, I'm going to wear the Oregon hat, whatever. Like, do you see how so many things are going through this guy's head to where he has to make this decision so quick? I feel bad because back in the day, back in the early 2000s when we didn't have this kind of media for these kids, they could just be like, on signing day, sitting in their mom's living room, you know what? I'm going to go to Alabama. Yeah, okay, whatever. And then you'd tell Alabama that he's going there. Then Alabama would send off something saying, oh, this 5-star recruit's going to Alabama. It was never this, I mean, just recently it's been so much bigger than it used to be. And I genuinely feel bad for these 5 stars and 4 stars that have to
Well,
do
some
it.
of them do it to themselves. Like Bowen's situation, he even
Yes.
admitted he had to come out with a public statement, and he admitted that he was sorry that he did what he did.
Well, I
That
mean, like kids and like kids make mistakes, right?
Mhm.
They mess up all the time, and like we're supposed to be surprised by this. Like it's,
I don't think they
I think we're
realize
putting too much pressure on these kids by covering everything they
I
do.
think it has nothing to do against these kids. I think it's just college football has such passionate fans than any other sport in the world.
Oh, that's
To
another.
the
Oh
point,
God, that's another thing.
well,
like these
I
people
forgot about
take it
that.
serious. You know how many kids? You know
Yeah,
how many Notre
Twitter's a
Dame
thing
fans?
too.
Wait, Josh
Twitter,
and
no,
Lucas. I don't know if you've seen it when the whole Peyton Bowen saga was going on. How many? I can't tell you how many Notre Dame fans, Oregon fans, even Oklahoma fans before he decided to go back to Oklahoma were sending this kid death threats, his family death threats, telling him that he was a piece of garbage and that he hopes. Some people are saying he hopes tears his ACL and never gets to play again. Like that's the type of shit that I don't like. I think that these kids, when they make a dumb decision, they should get criticized for it to a certain extent. But that is taking it way too far. But what I'm saying is these kids need to learn accountability when they make these decisions and understand why, because I don't think he understood, if I make this decision and I do this, it's going to embarrass a university publicly, which it did. It did.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that
Well,
these kids don't realize that.
well, obviously because they're 18-year-old kids, they don't know
Mhm.
much. Like they don't know anything outside of their high school, and what they've done and what they see on TV. So it just when I was saying Twitter's the thing. If I'm upset with a recruit, I could tweet him directly. I could send him a message directly.
Yep.
That's never like up until about when we started paying like serious attention to this stuff a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago. Um, it wasn't happening like that, you know. And now you got people who, like you said, go on. It's like, f this kid. I'm gonna go on to his Twitter, tweet some mean shit at him, and then I'm gonna, send him a death threat or something stupid like that because a grown adult got their feelings hurt that some kid who's never played down of college football in his life decided to go to other school.
See, I don't personally care if you commit to Notre Dame and you want to decommit, go somewhere else. That's your right. These kids don't owe you anything. When they give you a verbal commit, that doesn't mean shit. But I don't like the whole making a
you care
media.
about you care about someone's word, and we
That
all
that's
care about
Yeah,
someone's
that
word.
matters.
I think if you're a good human being, you care about someone's word because the word
yes.
you make means something.
Like I would rather you tell
When you
me.
tell somebody, when you
I would
tell
rather you
somebody
tell
that you're
me
going to do
instead
something,
of saying, "Hey, I'm solid with Notre Dame." If you're not actually solid, I'd rather you tell me. And if I'm Marcus Freeman, I would personally rather you tell me, "Hey, like I know I've been committed to you guys for a long time. I know people might be mad at me, but I'm going to make the best decision for me." You can't get mad at that. You can't get mad at the kid for that. But these kids don't do that. They make it a media extravaganza, and it comes all out of proportion. And that's why I don't like it. But I don't like that it becomes like that in the media. But I also don't like that these kids just don't be like, "Hey, what's going to happen to them if they just tell a coach, this isn't the school for me?" You might get media backlash from fans, but you have that anywhere you go.
I've never understood the early commitment. Oregon actually just got a guy that committed class of 2025, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just got a class of 2025 kid. For one, why are we offering a kid that is a sophomore in high school? Don't get that. Don't get that. Junior or higher, I get that. Sophomore, I don't get. That guy, we just offered somebody who could have. I don't get it. But anyways, he committed to the University of Oregon. We've had kids before. Seven McGee was the big one that a lot of people know. Seven McGee was committed to us for about 3 years. I believe he was a freshman. He committed to Oregon as a freshman in high school. Ended up going to Oregon. Now he's going to Jackson State next year in the transfer portal. A lot of things can happen in 3 years. A lot of things can happen. Don't understand it at all. I don't understand why kids do that. I think that every single kid, in my opinion, unless you know, I'm going to this school for the rest of my life. Like, if they drop my stuff or whatever's on the school, that's on the school. For me, I'm going to that place. If a kid feels that way, great.
It's very rare to see kids that stick throughout for longer than a year. It's very rare.
I don't like commitments, and this is what I told Ryan before when we talk about it in the chat, where you send me these commitments. Even last year,
oh my God, does Ryan send commitments in the chat?
These 2024 commitments, and I'm like, dude, like, let's just wait until they at least sign something, or let's wait until they get there, because you sent me the Peyton Bowen one when he committed. You sent all of us that. Obviously we said the same thing. Wait until he's committed. Wait until he's committed. And look what that kid did. He ended up committing to Oregon, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm committing to Oklahoma." Like, I like commitments. I think they're cool. They're fun to look at.
Hey man, you've seen it too many times. That's the third recruit or fourth recruit. We had Jaden Lamar do it to us. We had Keon Keeley do it to us. We had Peyton Bowen do it to us. Like,
Jaden Lamar posted a picture the other day. That guy's jacked.
I know. Dude's a beef.
Ryan, do you think it's the drive through Gary, Indiana that really does it?
I don't know, man. It's you know what a lot of people say it is? They say a lot of these kids that like are high 4-star, even some 5-star recruits, they commit to Notre Dame before they get the Alabama offers, the Georgia offers, and they use Notre Dame as like a placeholder.
Oh no, as a stepping.
Yeah, like as a placeholder until
that's rough.
And that's where it's like Keon Keeley used us because he didn't he decommitted Notre Dame before. I mean, he got his Alabama offer and he told Notre Dame, he's like, I'm not going on an official. That's just an unofficial. I'm solid with you guys. Don't worry. Then goes on the Alabama visit, decommits that same week. Like that. I don't know. It's infuriating, but that's why I like kids like a Drac Bowen, who is a borderline 5-star linebacker who's been committed to us for 2 years, and he's coming or like a CJ Carr who is
the thing too is like why I don't get this, why you would commit to somebody for so long when Lord knows in 2 years you might not even be recruited by the same coaching staff, and they might not even want you. Like when we got Will Stein as our offensive coordinator, the reason why we lost Dante Moore was because Will Stein didn't even want him. He wanted Austin Novosad. That's the only reason why we lost Dante Moore. Obviously, we could pay as much money as UCLA. They don't got shit. I mean, they have LA money, but they don't have any boosters. They don't have fans. Nobody likes UCLA.
Nobody shows up to UCLA.
They don't have fans.
Nobody gives a shit about UCLA. But
I remember when UCLA was, what were they, 6-0, 7-0 this year?
Yeah.
At one stretch.
They played Washington.
Nobody was there. They actually had banners covering up seats to make it look like it was more full.
And he wanted Austin Novosad, so we ended up getting Austin Novosad. I mean, he decommitted, or he didn't even decommit from Baylor. He just straight up signed our.
I'm surprised you got him. I was when you seen that, I was surprised you guys got him because Notre Dame and Ohio State had tried with that kid for like months.
The minute that we signed or that we hired Will Stein, I knew 100% we were getting Austin Novosad. They had known each other since he was a coach of his in high school, and he had been recruiting him at UTSA since then. Obviously, UTSA wasn't even in the cards because of his talent level, but he had been trying to recruit him, trying to get him there since he was like a freshman in high school. So like,
Yeah, I'm sorry if I've been quiet.
I knew we were gonna get him. I knew we were gonna get him.
Josh, you got Devin Leary. Why are you being quiet? Yeah.
Look, we could look. Okay, transfer portal is different than recruiting. Okay, Kentucky doesn't recruit.
Hey
you know
man,
who
you guys
Kentucky
gave
has
him
to
that.
compete
Don't lie.
with recruiting.
You guys gave him that Kroger NIL deal.
Where did Will Levis come from?
Penn State.
Yeah, he was a Penn State recruit.
Right.
He was at Penn State. Yeah.
You guys like the transfer portal?
Oh yeah, we do. Well, it's because like
Kentucky doesn't develop quarterbacks.
No, we don't. We just go get them.
Do not disrespect the hefty lefty.
Oh no! That was 3 or 4 coaching staffs ago. That's a long time ago.
You said they don't develop.
I mean, well, now that Liam Cohen's back, I think.
Hey, Andre Woodson was a beast. All right,
He really was. He really was. Yeah, Andre Woodson.
Oh man, but
go ahead. No, Kentucky doesn't get crazy recruits. We get like 3 stars, maybe a couple 4 stars, and maybe 1 or 2 5 stars, and that's only recently.
And the thing that I hate about the 4-star and like the
5-star
level,
most of the 3 and 4 stars you get should be 5 stars.
Yeah,
well, not the 3, but the 3 should be 4s and the 4s should be 5s.
Like Austin Novosad, and this is something that a lot of Oregon fans have talked about because you get some Oregon fans that are like, "Oh no, we lost Dante Moore," and they're all sad about it. But Dante Moore was a 5-star in the state of Michigan. Yes, Dante Moore is a fucking stud, and he's going to be good in college. And I am worried about UCLA because I think Chip Kelly is just now cooking. But Austin Novosad played in the state of Texas. Texas football is different. I think if he played in a state like Oregon, Washington, even Michigan, he'd be a 5-star.
Well, think about it this way.
He'd be a 5-star.
Think about it this way. Dante Moore's only true quarterback competition in his own state was C.J. Carr. And they never played. They never played.
And that kid's a year younger than him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't really understand a lot of that. I mean, Kentucky has had a lot of studs. I mean, you look at Josh Allen. Was he a 4-star or a 5-star? He's probably a 4-star, right?
He was a 3-star.
He was a 3-star.
3-star.
Josh Allen was a 3-star. Benny Snell was a 3-star.
Patrick Mahomes was a 3-star.
Mahomes
was a 3-star.
And I'm not saying like
Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a 3-star.
Basically, what I mean by all this stuff is, well, you guys know my opinion about stars. That's still
it doesn't mean shit.
They matter.
It really doesn't mean a lot. What matters more is their size, their work ethic. And
the only thing that I think was like 3-star, I think they said something about only like 5% of every kid, 5% of all the kids that have been rated 3 stars have ever made it to the NFL. So that included in that 5% is Mahomes.
It's got to be
Allen. It's 5%. Well, they're talking about all time. 5% of every single 3-star have made it to the NFL. That's why
Look
people
at the
think
quarterbacks that made it to the playoffs this year in the National Football League. You got Brock Purdy, who I guarantee was not. He was probably a 3-star. You got Justin Herbert, who is a 3-star. You got Skylar Thompson, who Lord knows what he was. Probably a 3-star, probably maybe even a 2-star.
He might have been unranked.
Patrick Mahomes, who was a 3-star. You got Josh Allen, who was a 3-star. I don't even know if he was a 3-star. I think
he was. He committed to Wyoming, and he only had like 2 other offers.
But that was his only offer in D1. I think he might have been a 2-star. And then you got obviously Tom Brady, who was a 3-star. You got Dak Prescott, probably was maybe a 4 or 3. I don't even know what he was. He went to Mississippi State when they weren't very good. So I mean, maybe he turned them into something. he turned them into a good team, but they weren't good before that. When was Mississippi State
Hold
good
on.
before?
Let me look this up because
Dak
he
Prescott.
might have.
Dak Prescott was a 3-star.
There you go.
He was borderline, not even ranked.
Dak Prescott's a 3-star. You got who are the other teams? Geno Smith was probably a 5-star, honestly. But the point I'm making is that you got a lot of 3-star starting quarterbacks.
Geno Smith wasn't even a 5-star. He was a 4-star.
He was a 4. But starting in the National Football League, you got a lot of these lower ranked guys. It's these rankings matter, but they don't. I think a lot of it is your coaching staff and the school that you go to. You look at a team like, and this is why, being a little biased, I think Oregon needs a lot, and I mean a lot more respect when it comes to defensive line, because our defensive line, the players that we produce, they turn out. Deion Jordan didn't turn out great, but Eric Armstead, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. DeForest Buckner, one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, who's still playing in the playoffs, and he's one of the best defensive ends in the NFL this year as a rookie. We need a lot more respect with that, but I think 5 stars and the ratings and all these things should be.
Daniel Jones was a 2-star.
I'm not surprised he went to Duke. Who went to Duke for football? I mean, let's be honest.
Wait, no.
Who goes to Duke for football?
On 24/7 Sports, he was a 2-star.
Okay.
On every other site, he wasn't even ranked. He had 0 stars.
But that's my thing, is like, I think there needs to be a different ranking for these different positions, because you got defensive linemen who, yeah, they should be a 5-star because they're studs. They're extremely fast. They're huge dudes coming out of high school. But then you got some high school quarterbacks that are like a Russell Wilson that's 5'10", but I'm sure he was probably like a 2 or 3-star coming out of high school. And that's only because of his size, because he was probably like 5'10" and coming out of high school and weighed, 185, 190 maybe. And then you got a guy like Josh Allen, or, some of the 5-stars, Trevor Lawrence, who was a 5-star, and he's 6'6". He was probably 2.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was unranked on 24/7 Sports.
And you got a Trevor Lawrence, you got a Jamarcus Russell, these big-ass dudes who are being ranked completely off of Trevor Lawrence is kind of like he's an outlier because he didn't lose games. He never lost
Tim
games.
Tebow, I mean, think of it this way. Tim Tebow was a 5-star. Tim Tebow was a 5-star quarterback, the number 1 player nationally coming out of high school, the number 1 quarterback in the country, and was a 5-star on every single site. And guess what happened when he went to the NFL?
He beat the Steelers in the playoffs. Sorry.
I knew you were going to say that.
And then became a
broke a
fullback.
sink because of that game.
Demaryius Thomas on the slam, baby. Let's go. R.I.P. my boy.
I broke a sink because of that game.
You lost to Tim Tebow.
Oh my god, I hate that so much. I hate that so much.
You tired of this,
Super Bowls,
Josh?
6 Super Bowls.
You tired of this,
6 Super
Josh?
Bowls. 6 Super Bowls.
6 Super Bowls.
I'm
Hey,
good.
at least you got to see one.
Hey, I did too. But all right, well, let's go on to our final thing, because we need to talk about.
Yeah, let's get
the Natty
get this wrapped
review.
up.
Oh, not really much to talk about. We didn't get to talk about it
Good
last week
Lord.
because we needed a break. But I wanted to ask you guys this question: was that game more of the fact that Georgia, it doesn't matter who played Georgia that night, they were going to get slaughtered, or was it more Georgia being that good or TCU being that bad?
So I'm going to say this right now. Without answering your question right now, I think it's – actually, I'm going to answer your question. Georgia is just that good, for one. For two, the NCAA record for straight wins is 56.
Mhm.
Georgia's going to beat that.
Who was that set by? Clemson
I
or
think
Bama?
No, it was like I think it was Bama with Bear Bryant or some shit like that. It was in the 50s or some shit like that. Like it was a long time ago. And I know that because of NCAA, I'll win like fucking 60 straight games and then it'll show me. But anyways,
That hurts me.
I think that Georgia is going to end up breaking that record. And the reason is because they continue to bring in great players, and I think Kirby Smart is a better coach than Nick Saban.
Do you think that they win a Natty next year?
Yes.
Even though they don't know who their quarterback
3 in
is?
a row.
I think they three-peat.
But who's going to be their quarterback? That's my thing. Is like Stetson Bennett is
to be
gone.
honest, I genuinely do not think it matters. They just put Stetson Bennett is a good talent at the college ranks and with the best team in college football. That's when he's a good talent.
Okay, let me put it this way.
It does not matter.
It has never happened. It has never happened in college football history. A team has never repeated. I think it's very impossible to do. It's one of the hardest sports to do that in, because the reason why is because you lose players, you rotate guys. They're losing their top defenders, and Keely Ringo's gone. Their interior defense is gone. I think they're going to be good. They'll probably make the playoff again, but I don't know if they can win a Natty. I just think that it's kind of like where Ohio State is. Ohio State just lost C.J. Stroud. They lost Jackson Smith and Jigba. They just lost Marvin Harrison Jr. They're losing basically everybody, and now they're reloading.
Coming back.
Oh, he is coming back? Okay.
Yeah, he was only a sophomore.
I thought he was a junior for some reason.
He can't leave. He'll still be there. But here's the thing. Yes, I understand that. But Georgia is at a level where they had guys last year that could start on any team in college.
But we thought
they weren't starting on that Georgia team. No, so I think Bama could have done it. But the reason why they didn't is because I think
they didn't because of the kick six. They were 11-1 that year, Lucas.
And
if they didn't get the kick six, they would have.
They probably would have won the Natty. But I don't know if anybody would have stopped that Florida team, to be honest. Or Florida State. But I'm serious when I say this, and Josh can put in his 2 cents here because he's the SEC guy in our group. I think Kirby Smart is the best coach in all of college football, and I think he is better than Nick Saban. I think he's a better coach than Nick Saban. I think
it's hilarious, though, that Alabama fans think Nick Saban should get credit for Kirby Smart's national championships.
I think Nick Saban gave him a lot. Nick Saban gave Kirby Smart a shitload of knowledge.
Bro, you should see the Alabama.
That's why I have so much confidence in Dan Lanning, because he sat behind Nick Saban. He sat behind Kirby Smart. He's soaking in all of that knowledge. The same thing with Tosh Lupoy, our defensive coordinator. He sat behind Nick Saban. He got a lot of that knowledge. I think that they can be good. Hello, John James.
Hi, John.
I think that he can be good, but I think that Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football, and I think he's going to prove it next year when they win 32 straight games and win the national championship again. And then I don't know.
I just don't think you can win it.
All these commits that are coming that would usually commit to Alabama are now committing to Georgia.
Georgia has the number 1 class, and they don't have the number 1 class. They have number 2. Yeah. But I'll just say this. I don't think anyone has ever won a Natty, with the exception of Alabama, with A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy.
Do not disrespect A.J. McCarron.
That has won a Natty. Listen, that has won a national championship with a non-elite quarterback.
Dude, do not disrespect. You know, A.J. McCarron
was a game manager. That's what A.J. McCarron was.
Starting quarterback for the St. Louis Battlehawks right now, for the XFL St. Louis Battlehawks. the greatest team in the XFL?
Lucas, there's a reason that he's with the Battlehawks right now and not with an NFL practice squad.
I don't want to hear none of that. He's gonna win a ship with the Battlehawks, and then you're gonna eat your words. I'm telling you.
He'll go be the starting quarterback for the Broncos next year, or the year after. I mean,
For not forfeiting and finishing the game. That's
but no, man, I don't know. I don't think Georgia. I think Georgia will be the favorites, but I don't think they win it because I think they need a quarterback to do it. Even when they had Stetson Bennett in, I believe, 2020, they had 2 losses his first year because guess what? They just didn't have an offense that year. I don't know. I think Tennessee. I think Tennessee is the team to beat next year.
Ryan,
I
I
really
think
do.
you're falling. Ryan, I think you're falling for one of the classic blunders.
What?
You're undervaluing the Georgia National Championship.
No,
you know
I'm
what
not
happened last
undervaluing.
time that happened? Do you know what happened last time?
What?
They went 15-0 the next season and won it again.
Here's my question. Here, we can end it off with this. The best. Hey, John's a Battlehawks fan. Let's fucking go, dude. Let's
All
go.
right. Actually, let me say something about the national championship. It was Ryan's question. So, about forfeiting finishing the game, we kind of had to. Running clock kind of speeds up the process. But I said it at the beginning. Georgia was going to be a meat grinder. They had been, and it really didn't seem like they had been.
But
the
we
whole
all know.
year.
But we all know, Josh.
And we
all know that they should have lost to Missouri. That should have happened. We all
but
know
they
that.
didn't lose to Missouri. That's the thing. They didn't lose to Missouri. They pushed through. They found a way to win. That Georgia team, not as scary as the year before, still got it done.
Oh, they were scarier than last year because they drug a team in the Natty. And I don't.
Okay, and then
Anyway,
in hindsight,
go.
How Oregon did and what they did to Oregon, we should have known what they were going to do to TCU.
Wait, does this mean Kentucky's better than Oregon? We got double the point. They didn't score 45 on us.
I would say when national TV is on Georgia, they don't disappoint.
Except when they're playing Missouri and Georgia Tech.
National TV was on those games.
ESPN was.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's get this wrapped up.
But no, I really quick because we were talking about Georgia. Do you guys think this was just a one-time thing for TCU, or do you think that they can compete next year, or I guess in the years to come?
I think TCU blew all their luck in that Michigan win. Honestly.
See, I don't think it was luck because I seen a lot of people say that
every single ball bounced their way.
I look at that and I don't, people will say, well, if Alabama was playing Georgia in that Natty, Alabama would have gave Georgia a game. I don't think it would have mattered. I don't care if it was Alabama, TCU, or Michigan.
Georgia
was a wrecking
ball. Georgia was a wrecking ball. Georgia was the dragon. Ohio State had the confidence, didn't have the kicker to do it.
Didn't have the kicker. But no, I mean, do you guys agree with that too? That TCU shouldn't have been in the playoff because that's what a lot of people are saying after that game.
I think TCU should have still been in the playoff. I just think Michigan should have taken care of business.
It looks
I think the big storyline is Michigan letting Michigan fans down again. Because I think Michigan would have given
I don't
Georgia
think Michigan would have either. TCU and Michigan are too similar to me in terms of just think about it this way. Michigan, their offensive line got pushed around by TCU, whose defensive line was outweighed by Michigan's by 50 plus pounds. Think about what Georgia's defense would have done to that offensive line. Just let that sink in for a minute. Like,
I just
Couldn't have been worse
think
than
Michigan
65 to
underperformed.
7.
it probably could have
Yeah.
been like 90-7.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think Michigan would have given them a way better game. Yes, it would have been a blowout, but I think they would have at least scored 20.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, that
So-
does mean that.
So it
Did
looks
way
like
better than
Georgia.
TCU, but really Mizzou is an above average team. But the
So it
conference
looks
is super.
like
For real, that's how a lot of like mid SEC teams are. Like if you took a mid SEC team, they'd be top 3 in like the ACC. They'd be top
Hey,
probably
like
be
Lucas
top
said, that Brady Cook
4
kid is
in the
amazing.
Big Ten.
But Lucas, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say it looks like Carson Beck is going to be the starting quarterback for Georgia next year. I want to see his 247 profile. It looks he was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, class of 2020. He was the number 9 ranked pro style quarterback.
All right, that's it.
5.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. 6'5", 226 pounds. I don't know. He kind of looks like an alien, though. To be honest,
He's basically Jake Fromm. No, I'm
he's
joking.
basically Jake Fromm. But anyways, yeah. Natty review.
But I did want to ask you guys because Lucas didn't get to answer this. So,
Yep.
do you think TCU's done, or do you think that they're going to be competitive next year in terms of the playoff?
10-2.
Huh?
10-2.
I
10-2, and I think. I mean, it depends on how the Big 12 goes, but I think they could probably get back to the Big 12 title with that record. I don't know that they win it. Maybe they do, but I don't think they make it back to the playoff with that record, especially in the Big 12. Like I said before, I think they lose to Colorado week 1 because they don't know what Colorado they don't. Nobody knows how Colorado is going to look.
Nobody knows how TCU is going to look. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they could be much better than they were last year, and I
think
I
if
don't
they
know.
would have if they were bringing back Max Duggan, I think they're a playoff contender.
no,
But-
100%.
But if they don't have Max Duggan, then I don't know what. I mean, who's to say what TCU would have been if Max Duggan would have sat on the bench the entire year and the starting quarterback didn't go down?
Here's the thing. I think if TCU, and this might be like shooting low for them, they go 9-3.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
Something like that. I think that's a good season for TCU next
They
year.
have.
But I mean, I had even talked to one of my buddies who's a Georgia fan, and he told me that he didn't think. He said, I don't care if we would have been playing that 2019 LSU team. He said Georgia that night on that stage
Georgia that night
after
was good.
after the speech that Kirby gave him. He said, I don't think that any team. He said, like I said, I don't care if it was the 2020 Bama team, the 2019 LSU team, the Clemson team from 2018. I think either one of those teams would have got their ass kicked.
Well, that's the thing is that's the question that everybody wants to ask. What is the best team in college football history? I personally think
2019 LSU.
I personally think that Clemson, the first team to ever go 15-0, I think that team is the best team in college football. A lot of people say that 2001 Miami is, which I have a hard time disagreeing with that because of the talent that they had. I mean, they had Vince Wilfork, they had Ed Reed, they had Champ Bailey, I don't know if they had Champ. I think they had Champ. They had Devin Hester. They had a crap ton of dudes that were NFL talent guys. LSU did too. They lost 20 dudes to the draft the year after 2019.
And almost all of them are Pro Bowl selections in the playoffs, and a couple of them have been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the question. Who do you think is the best team in college football?
I think. Let me say this.
Like I said,
I think a lot of people sleep on that 2020 or that 2021 Georgia team because I think that defense, like,
Oh no! That defense was murderers row. Like
no,
that was
could you
that was an
imagine?
NFL defense.
Like, I'm going to kind of cheat here. I'm going to kind of cheat here, and I'm going to go offense. 2019 LSU, not a question. If we're going best offense of all time, best defense of all time, I think Georgia. So I think, but I think if you put that 2019 offense at LSU and you combine it with the 2021 Georgia defense, that's the best team in college football history right there.
You combine it for sure. I think
if you were to do that, you would just get the Cleveland Browns.
But I think that 2019 team, that LSU team, it was really good. I think they would have ran over this year's and last year's Georgia team. I really do.
You do?
Because their defense was just good enough to beat the offense, and I think their offense was so damn good that they would have ended up they would have ended up putting points. I mean, if you look at it, the 2021 Georgia team, they got drugged through the dirt
by Alabama.
By that Alabama pass offense, and they weren't even close to that 2019 LSU team. Mm-hmm. So I think that LSU team would have won. I still think that Clemson, and I think it was the 2018 Clemson. Was it 2018 or was it 2017 that Trevor Lawrence was a freshman?
Trevor Lawrence was a freshman 2017. Or no,
2017.
2018. It was 2018.
2018. Okay, that 2018 Clemson team that won the national title absolutely drug Alabama. I think they are the best team in college football history. I think that they beat.
Wasn't that the same team that beat Ohio State 31-0? Or no, that was Notre Dame. 31-3. My bad.
But they destroyed. I can't remember who they. Yeah, they destroyed Notre Dame in the playoff, and then absolutely destroyed Alabama in the national title.
Which I will take credit for. Notre Dame kept that game close at halftime. Hey, you know what? Alabama didn't. We did. We stuck it in. We stuck in there, even though Julian Love was out for the entire game.
Stuck in there. Good job.
Good Lord.
We survived a round.
But anyways, I think we can wrap it up there. It's been long enough. I thought it was gonna be an early show or a quick show. We started talking too much. It's all right. We had a lot of good things. We had a whole week to start thinking about this stuff. So I think I'm gonna close it out there. I am your host for this week. Hopefully Connor wants to join us at some point. I am your host for this week. Lucas Brawny to the SCO. Hopefully he comes to Oregon. McKnight to my side, to the side of me. I think it's my right. I can't.
Well,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's my left. I'm looking at mirrored. Ryan Cheeseburger's over 13 mil. I think I'd take that deal too. Travel. And then
I would.
We got Josh. Pay for play, Bryant. This has been the Week 0 podcast. I'm glad to have everybody here. All 2 of us. Bye, John. Love to have you. Please subscribe. Like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
We'll be back next week.
Yeah, we will be back next week. And hopefully we'll have
7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and whatever
the time Lucas is.
4 p.m.
4 p.m. Mountain Time. Pacific.
Yes,
Pacific.
Sir. All right, guys. Peace out, and we'll have Ryan end this out.
Yep.